Everyone has a dark side. One part of being authentic is embracing your dark side. A lot of people never confront their demons. If you have small trauma, brush it off. So your ideal self is this, your real self of life is this, and then they start working towards it, but it is not coming together because there's energy of desperation. Don't be desperate for things. And when they're working towards it, they're not enjoying the reality, but an internal battle must be fought and won. That is why an internal critic exists. It serves a purpose. If we
It's
did
there
not
for a reason, you mean.
yes. If it
It
was
brings
not,
the stronger adult.
yes.
If you can't fight your own demon, then you are not fit to be a capable adult in society.
That
Is
would
that
be
so?
too harsh to say.
Okay,
but
my inner critic is too strong.
That would be too harsh to say.
Topic is more deeper than I thought.
It's quite deep.
Hey guys, welcome to Keyword Podcast. I'm Clinton Baptist, and today we are diving deep into the fascinating world. That world is authenticity. So, in our 1 hour long conversation, I sat down with a brilliant psychologist, Harsh Chahal, and she brings 8 years of experience in psychology, covering areas like counseling, gamification, therapy, and performance. Harsh and I explored what it truly means to embrace our authentic selves. We tackled the challenges, the incredible benefits, and why some people struggle to fully embrace who they are. Harsh also shared a profound insight on becoming an adult. So she claims becoming an adult is a beautiful journey where we shed our masks and step into who we are. So, whether you are navigating adulthood or simply curious about authenticity, this podcast is for you. Let's get it started. Okay, the topic for today's conversation is embracing authentic self. Seems like a big topic. You mean people are not authentic?
I don't mean that they're not authentic, but a large population needs to become authentic to live a good life, a mentally good life, a well being life, a life worth living. So that's why it's important. Many people are authentic. Many people are doing what they're supposed to. Many people are walking on the path that's meant for them. Many people have tapped into their inner being so that they are not running with the crowd. They've learned to, chase themselves, take their power from the world, and just be comfortable with themselves and be beautiful with that idea. So some people are doing it, but majority isn't, and it is important.
Before we get deeper into this, let's discuss the benefits. What are the benefits of embracing oneself authentically?
A lot of benefits. It could start with you being comfortable with you, you being at peace, you being content, you having a wonderful mental balance, you not chasing but becoming. And the benefits are endless. What works for you could not be my benefit, but it works differently for me. And on a holistic term, it's peace, content, courage, living in awareness, feeling good about yourself. Like there are micro benefits and then macro benefits. The list of benefits, I think, is the largest list if you have to look into
Right.
why embrace authenticity.
So you mean it is different for different people?
It's different for different people, but on a larger surface, these are.
Then I would ask how embracing yourself has helped you professionally and personally.
Oh, this is a very good question. It's helped me at various levels. It's helped me professionally. It has helped me personally also. If I have to be authentic about my self, like it's very easy for me to give an answer and say, "Oh, this is how it has helped me." But you have to understand what forced me to become authentic. And we all have those moments. And every time someone falls in a dark hole, I think I'm going to be happiest for you. I'd like you to think that if you fell in a dark hole, it's the best thing that can happen to you, because when you come up different person. And I fell into a dark hole like that, and I lived some time by myself, and I learned a lot about myself. For a couple of months, I was by myself doing my job, figuring life out. The kind of realities that I was hit with, the kind of uncomfortable uneasiness I felt with myself shocked me. And it forced me to knock the deeper doors within. And opening those doors was so relieving, was so comforting. And I also realized that I was giving so much strength to where I was being pushed instead of how I want to flow, so that changed a lot for me. And when I became authentic, and I don't think so I've become authentic, I think I'm also working towards learning to be my utmost best self without any filter. Every day it's a journey. You don't become a person and you stop there. Then you become egoistic about it.
Right.
So it is a travel.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. It's a travel within. It's a travel of various contexts, and you learn every day something new about you.
Right. So after you got up from that dark hole,
Hmm.
so what has changed?
I used to be very I was a very different person. I used to be a little egoistic. I used to be a little miss know it all sort of person. I used to be not I used to think that I hold people in high regard, but in reality I think I was not doing that. And of all the clients that I had seen prior to my episode, I think I never really understood what they were going through when they were going through a mental breakdown. I thought I had an idea. In all honesty, I think I had zero idea. And when it happened to me, I realized that, oh, this is what it is like. And for that particular 8-month period, I did not see any clients. I did not feel the need because I knew that I had to sit with myself. I had to figure this out. And then I think whatever bad or whatever you are, or because society has trained you to be a certain way or whatever, what I am now, I am nothing. I think I have to. I'm very curious about other people. I make sure that if I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you with genuine interest in you, or else I will not talk because it's okay. And I understand who do I want to have a small talk with, or how does things flow. I leave a lot on chance now. I don't plan myself. I don't plan a day saying, okay, if I go there and I hope this happens. That has stopped. Now I just go there and be like, okay, let's see what happens. And a lot of easiness has come to me. I'm very easy. I'm very, very grateful. I'm not in a constant rut like, oh, I have to do something. I have to do something. I have so much knowledge. I have to do something about it. No, now I don't do that. I feel like, okay, when the right time comes, I shall do what I can. So that sort of surrender, and I did not do this all with therapy and psychology. I had to rely some things on faith, some things on my religion, and some things with spirituality, and some things with culture. So it was a holistic circle of everything. I don't say that only therapy helped me or psychology did. It initiated my journey, and whatever I resonated with, I think therapy is like climbing a mountain. So every time you and your client figure something out, and there's a rope, you figure something out, you tie a knot, and then you walk up. So whatever, these are my knots. Spirituality is my knot, religion is my knot, a culture is my knot, psychological awareness is my knot. So that helped me climb bit of the mountain.
Let's get into general public.
Mhm.
Why aren't they embracing themselves? Like, what are the reasons or challenges or blocks that is preventing themselves from embracing authentic self?
First is time. People don't have time for themselves. And if you look at other generations, adults, let's say 50, 100 years ago, adults had time for themselves. They could do
Interesting.
things for themselves. You did not have to take a metro to reach a place quickly. You could walk. You could talk to people. You could gather your awareness. You could expand your vision by just speaking to someone else. All of that has stopped. And so time is important. People are not giving themselves time. Second is, we are in a rat race, a very competitive world. And at a point that, a- on one side we are very competitive, and on the other side we are very there's a story that we tell ourselves: we are insufficient or incompetent. And another story that we tell ourselves is that it's a long journey, or if a miracle has to happen, it'll happen in an instant. All those people who've made it big did not make it big in a second. It took them time, and that time they were able to give themselves. Then we're not paying attention to who we are. We're not giving ourselves time. We're not even looking. Even if we give them ourselves 5 minutes, it's about who's going to the club, where are we meeting, what is happening. There are no grounding activities. Like, I don't see an adult sit at home and paint because they feel like doing it. Very a few adults I see when I go to Cubbon Park on a Sunday. I see a lot of solo people, laying their bed sheet and doing like a thing for themselves. It's important. And trees are very big healers. They have wisdom. I don't know, if you sit in trees, it makes you feel good. Many people are not doing that. So what you're doing is you're being corrupted by the world of today, which is
Distractions.
distractions. You're being corrupted by the world because it is competitive. It has a lot of large emotions that are not serving you well. There's anger, there's competition, there's worry, there's anxiety, there's anxiousness, a lot of bad emotions.
Yeah, you said people don't give themselves time to think about themselves. Is it intentional or unintentional?
Unaware. People are not aware of what they're doing in their life. And so unaware that they've forgotten that they have larger purpose. And many people have started to believe that life is sad, depressive, loop of stupid stories. Many people believe that they don't have a chance at ultimate happiness. But also because our definition of happiness has gone wrong. This is happiness. Being in the moment is joyous. People are really attributing success and happiness and joy to things like buying something, investing somewhere, reaping an X amount of money, or, being at a certain place. But everything is joyous if you look at it. If you're actually aware of your life, you're not looking at the future, you're not in the past, you're in the now. And being in the now is the biggest human power. And most of us fail to exercise. Some people are like, in this moment, they're planning the evening, they're planning the next day. Or some people are so bothered about their life that they can't let go what happened 10 years ago in the past, or can't let go of the fact that a husband mistreat the wife, but they continue living together, but still hold on to a lot from the past. To live a holistic life, you have to let go of the past, not think of the future, and be ultimately in the now. This is an existential approach towards life. And if you look at authenticity, authentic people also have purpose. And you don't find your purpose in a snap, you have to wait for it. When I say authenticity is a journey, one of the pillars of that journey is finding your purpose. Then you become at ease by saying, what am I doing? Why am I doing? And the largest purpose all of us have is to live well. Don't think you have a professional purpose or a financial purpose. You may find one, you may work towards one, but a simple explanation of living well is your purpose is to live in the now. And that makes a lot of sense. Then you're not running to find an answer.
Interesting.
Mhm.
So there's a saying in Stoic, like people suffer more in
More
the
in imagination than,
in the present.
yeah, in reality.
So
Yeah.
what are these imaginations? Like, what are they worrying about?
Now, some people, this is being anxious.
Mhm.
Okay, when you're thinking of future and you don't know what the next moment holds on to it, anxiety comes into picture. And you could be anxious of a lot of things. It could be, it's very, like, if I generalize a psychological concept, I
Right.
think I will be doing injustice to the fact that individual experiences are unique and different, and each individual must be treated with utmost regard. So I don't want to generalize it, but for the sake of understanding, I don't want people to listen to this and start applying that knowledge saying, oh, I am anxious because of this. No, your reasons of being anxious could be entirely different from this example. If you are anxious and you're not living in the moment, you are always worrying about something. You are always playing a story in your head that this could go wrong, that could go wrong, this might not turn up well, this might turn very well, but how will it be treated? You're fighting an internal battle, and it could be with other people, but a battle inside, it could be with things. Is this thing good enough? Should I buy it? Should I not buy it? Like small things contribute to your anxiety. Making decisions of what you're going to eat today, or if the guests are coming, is this prepared well? Will it be good? Will it be that? Like, people have to be comfortable with what they're doing, and they're not being comfortable with what they're doing. Hence anxiety kicks in. And there are a lot of people in existentialism, there is something called as death anxiety, and most people have to confront death anxiety. It's a very very big term. Like, I don't know how adults think of death. And when I was in my deep sink, the dark hole that I was in, I had a lot of confrontation with death. And I would think that if I'm sleeping, I die. And I was living alone, and I thought no one will wake me up, no one will know, my family won't know what will happen. But it was basically my body telling me that you have to confront death. And now, and then they tell you that I had read these theories in 2017, 18, 20. I was very keen in understanding the existentialism point of view. The pioneers like Abraham Maslow, then we have Irvin D. Yalom, Harry Stack Sullivan. But if you look at it from Indian context, all are religious, all are religion. They tell you to live in now, like make the best of your moment, make the best now. And when you confront death anxiety, you're forced to live now because you can die any moment. You better be living in the moment to even experience dying. People are anxious because of that. Many people have death anxiety, don't know how to confront it, and continue living in that loop for a very, very long time before they ultimately die. But to stop dying a painful death, you have to really think that you live well. Really, really hold yourself accountable to the fact that I am going to live a good life because I deserve so. And because I know how to live each moment. Like, not a second on earth should be wasted. It should be consumed, observed, and lived.
Interesting. Why aren't people embracing themselves? Like, what are the list of things? There could be many things.
Yeah, there could be many. It's because they've had a traumatic experience. Their belief system is so. They've had an influence like that. Their experiences are so. Their shadow, the dark side of themselves does not want them to live a holistic, good, beautiful life. Then their value system is not intact. They live in their head. They're not in touch with their body. The list goes on. Okay, maybe they don't accept themselves. People who are not embracing themselves are simply because they're not accepting themselves. I have also recently discovered that when people say I lack confidence, it has nothing to do with the confidence. Whenever you say that you think you lack confidence, try reasoning this out. I want you to ask yourself, do you accept yourself fully? Or are you afraid of accepting yourself fully? All of us are vulnerable. All of us have moments of weakness. You'll catch hold of one weakness moment and say you lack confidence because you were uncomfortable, or you were underestimated, or you were not looked the way you wanted to be looked at. You'd hold on to that moment and say, I think I'm not confident. Maybe look at it from the idea that maybe I'm not accepting myself. Yes, I can be vulnerable. Yes, I can be weak. Yes, I can't be the person that I want everyone to see me for. But I am me, and that's enough. So self-acceptance is a very, very important part of being authentic. And you have to be very, very, there are like 4 C's to it. You have to be curious. You have to be very, very calm. It starts with you being calm. Then you have to be curious. You have to be compassionate. You have to be competent. You should feel complete. You should not feel like there's something missing in you. You should feel complete.
So based on my observation, I see the biggest barrier is fear of judgment. If you were to, help them
Hmm.
to take away the fear of judgment,
Yeah.
how would you do it?
Like, in all honesty, stop judging yourself. Only those people who judge others fear judgment. A good adult who's very competent would not judge other people and will never have a fear of being judged because they are not judging. A lot of your world is a reflection of how you view the world.
Interesting.
A lot of your world is a reflection of you viewing the world.
Can you give an example?
Like, if I think people are judging, it's only because I judge. If I think people are happy, the world is beautiful, it's because I see it to be beautiful. It comes to me like that. Your perception of the world is your world. You better change that perception for in a healthy, beautiful, amazing manner to live a good life. Why do you want to perceive the world to be a dirty place or to be a competitive place? It's because you compete. You think it is dirty. You play those games. Stop doing that. And you will see that the world, the lens that you have over you has changed because you've changed yourself.
So there's another reason you mentioned on things stopping people from embracing themselves.
Mm.
The reason is story they tell themselves.
Yeah.
Seems interesting. Can you elaborate that point?
Yeah. So the story, that there's a very beautiful school of thought or a therapeutic tool. It's called narrative therapy. And it dwells a lot on how you talk to yourself. What is the story you're telling yourself? And most of the times we tell ourselves limiting stories, stories that don't serve us well, or stories that fail us, or stories that are setting us up for failure. So we have to go change those stories. Just how I said that if you view the world to be pessimistic, it will turn out to be like that. So you have to really change how you see the world. You have to change. And that therapeutic system has a lot of techniques, to figure out people and give therapists the responsibility to help the client. And the therapist in that particular system is nothing. It's the most different school to be as a therapist because all of them tell you to be a certain way and all of that. In this theory, in this therapeutic system, the therapist has to assume the position of not knowing anything. And the client acts like the senior author of the life. So you write, and then, it's a collaborative work where you are the senior author, and I just have to keep asking you questions to get the whole story right. And then after a couple of sessions, I have to figure out whether you need to deconstruct the story, and I'll push you in that direction. And then if you're too attached with the problem, so most of the times people think their problem is them, and then they attach with the problem so much. You actually have to be two different things. The problem is different and you as a person are different. That's how you will be able to resolve the problem. If you see it from distance or are not attached to it, you have to let go of the problem. And it's the classic example, like classic case of people who are attached with the problem is when they come tell you that I have a problem, and you will talk to them. You will try talking to them and they'll have 100,000 reasons. Yeah, that also I did. Yeah. And then they'll continue talking about the problem and then say, oh, no. Yeah, that I attempted. But, you will have a loop and then you will fail to tell them anything because you will see they're not ready to listen. So those are the people who have become one with the problem. They have no individuality. There's no individual. There's just problem and them in the same whole. And so that we have to, as a therapist, we have to help clients see that differentiation. Right. And then we move forward to many other techniques. And then we change the story. Then we re-author lives.
So can you give an example to understand it clearly?
Some very easy example is people would believe that they are not meant or worthy of love. Okay, that's the story you tell yourself.
Why do they think that?
Lack of competence, experience, influence, value system, trauma, a lot of things. Baggage. Yeah. It could be one thing, it could be a couple of things. Okay. And it could be something unique to you. Like I said, that someone's grandmother said that it was an influence, but it could be a totally different influence for someone else. So that's why therapy is unique. Individuals are unique. What is your reason cannot be someone else's reason, or maybe someone else's reason, but in different context. So let's say someone's not believes that they're not worthy of love. Okay, maybe because an ex-boyfriend treated you badly or, something like that. And then you're going on with the story of, I don't deserve love. And then you have to look for reasons why this came to be. Then you look at reasons for what were the moments like when you were loved? Who loved you? I'm certain your parents did. I'm certain your friends did. I'm certain someone did. Someone looked at you with a kind eye. Someone did something to make you feel good. You have to hold on to those instances and remind yourself you can love. Then you re-author your story and say, you know what, I'm capable of loving, but by only the right people. Yeah,
Is
something like that.
is there a possibility that like people are envious of someone
Mm-hmm.
or under the influence of someone,
Mm-hmm.
they are failing to embrace themselves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, is it very common?
I don't know. I haven't seen it in a therapeutic system, but
Mhm.
could be a possibility. Such a large world.
Right.
Maybe a set of people think like that, but not all, or maybe all. But I don't have access to that information. But yeah, there is a possibility.
So where do you place ego
Mm-hmm.
in embracing oneself? Like, what is the where does ego fit in?
And when you say where do I place it, I will place it in the center.
So ego is
Ego is you. How you define yourself is your ego.
okay. Let's define ego psychologically.
Okay, but there are a lot of definitions now. If we go by Freud, if you look at that theory, so you have id, ego, and the superego. Ego is the reality principle, id is the pleasure principle, and the superego
No,
is
make it
the,
simple.
yeah.
Very simple.
Let me tell you. So if you look at there are different ways of looking at a psychological concept because many theorists have talked about it. The first one to talk about it was Freud, and then he spoke of ego as your reality principle. Whenever you are being in reality, you will work from ego. But you have pleasure also within you. You have morality also within you. So there is a fight between your pleasure that wants everything immediately and your morality that says, hey, this is not right. Don't do this. People will judge you. Arey, what are you doing? And then the reality, which is your ego, gets stuck in the middle, fighting between both of them, saying, hey, you shut up, you shut up, you shut up, let's live, let's live, let's live. And then the reality principle is your grounding principle. The ego is your grounding principle. And a lot of people say, hey, you have ego. You have like you're too full of yourself. In layman language, people will look at ego like something that they're confident about, proud of, very egoistic. From a psychological perspective, it is different. And how I define ego is how you define yourself. This is who you are, your reality about yourself. When you introduce yourself, is who you are as your ego. Like, simplify it even further. Let's say, I am X, I do a Y thing at a Y place or a Z place. That can't be your ego, but it is how you define yourself could be your ego. So the definition of how you define yourself is your ego. When you come in authenticity circle, you have to drop all of that. So while the child is growing, I don't know how wide this phenomena could be. When the child is growing, he's developing on building an ego. Who am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I? Who am I? What am I? And he reaches teenage. I am this, I am that, I am this, I am that, I am this and that. And when you reach peak adulthood, you have to break all those barriers because a secure, well informed adult has to think from a lens of free fluid, free floating self. And they have to anchor themselves with the values. You don't have to be something to be, the need to be comes crumbling down because you can be anything, whoever, wherever, whatever. So then you start from undoing your ego, saying how you define yourself, let that go. Yeah.
So you mean you shouldn't be defined by personality?
Yeah.
Those personality types are false.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, tell me more about it. Like, it's a new thing for me. I had
Okay.
always thought people have a set of personality, and yeah,
A lot of people are taking psychological tests, understanding their personality, and it gives them a sense of understanding of oneself. And they're very happy, wow, yeah, the test said it right. But in Indian concepts, we don't have any theories of personality. We have theories in cultural subtext, and we have Only like the one theory that I know of personality is your uh, either you're tamasic, rajasic, or sattvic, or you have vata, kalpa, pitta, whatever those concepts. But defining a person is a very American westernized concept. We don't define, like older generations, older India, we did not define ourselves. Americans, individualistic society traits are defining yourself. And when people define themselves, let's say I'm an introvert, I'm a social person, I'm an extrovert, or I am uh, agreeable, or I'm non agreeable, or I have anything, you're trying to limit yourself, you know? And then there is pressure of being at a social place to be really social, being at a play to be really serious, being at an X place to function from that. If you break all of these barriers, you are just you. You don't have any pressure of being or performing. And a lot of people on their profiles now write that I am INTJ, like, they do the MBTI test and they define that this is who I am. But it is very unfortunate that people have to rely on psychological personality types to define themselves. You should define yourself by living your life, by really understanding yourself. You should have such an in-depth understanding of who you are as a being that you don't have to be on a superficial layer of introvert, extrovert, or whatever. You know how I define myself? That I want love. I'm very lovable. I want to give love. I'm very kind. And I like having genuine conversations. Like, how do you define such a person? This doesn't mean I'm social, you know? I don't like going out partying, so it does not mean that these contexts can't be social. These are social too, but in a very different way. But I'm not a social person. So there's a lot of complexity of being here. So one should not define themselves because then you're forced to perform that way. Why do you want to take a pressure of performing because you define yourself like that? Be nothing, be no one, and then do what you feel like in the moment.
Then how do you ground yourself with if there is no personality, if there is no.
Values.
Tell me about values.
So you, as an adult, like I said, you have to break down your being or something. Be nothing. Enjoy that. And you could, I'm not saying like become a guru and, let go of life. No, do whatever you like, but without the pressure of doing it. Do because you enjoy. Do because you love doing it. So, what values does is you could be free floating, do whatever you like, however you like, and let values define you. I don't cheat. I'm ethical. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to have integrity. I have resilience. I'm going to have perseverance. Let your value system define you. I'm going to be very grounded. And when you have your when you have your value system define you, you will definitely become humble.
It's different for different people, right?
Yeah, but on a sociological perspective, you are taught values in school by your parents or your grandparents at home, and you will learn to be good. When you were a child, they taught you really nice things of the world. Be nice, share your food, say namaste to everyone, and share your homework, say hello. All of that they will tell you. They give you very good grounding. Don't lie, always tell the truth, and you will see your father lying on the phone. Hey, tell them I'm not at home. The child picks on all of these. So when the child is taught value systems, then they also have crossovers. Like, okay, if I'm being taught this at school and someone at home is not following that, then the children learn that maybe it is not a system. Then you don't have any value system. Maybe you have value systems, but not at the forefront, like not at the driving seat right next to you, somewhere in the back. When you get a chance to practice value, which is I will not cheat in my test, or because I'm honest. And some people will do it because that system is not well defined for themselves and it is harmless. So then they will cheat, or they would not hurt a person, but they will hurt. But it's not core to you. Then what happens is, as an adult, you want to pick up value systems because you're going to be working, you work for an organization, you run an organization, you want to be a good person, you want to be easy. That's when you pick up value system.
You pick the values which suits you the best for
Yeah.
your mission or for your vision or for your ideas or something
Yeah.
like that.
And as an adult, you have a responsibility to choose good value system. Now, don't say I'm going to be a hardcore, I don't know, non-ethical person, saying because I want to go, this is my goal. Like, the world is good. Everything that can be done in a wrong way has a way to do it in a right manner also. You want to choose your right, and you want to choose the right that is right. That is your adult responsibility. So have a good set of value systems that help you be kind in the society, that helps you, allows you to walk without fear. If you carry values that are fearful, then you are again losing the context of authenticity, being you, and doing good things. So you want to pick right things for yourself.
The topic is more deeper than I thought.
It's quite deep. Hence,
Okay.
for individual therapy, it becomes very, very intense. Like when people are discovering themselves, it's very, very intense. But most people will not do this by themselves in therapy. Okay, they'll have different context. But there are many people who are not in therapy working on this context in their head. They're always doing something nice to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with like a fight within yourself, and you can't control that fight. And then your inner critique starts to like you.
It's like two people are fighting inside the
Yeah,
head.
yeah. This totally happens. It's a very,
Like,
very normal thing.
is it to do with system 1 or system 2 thinking? Or
No.
just two people fighting inside the brain?
It is the good side fighting with the bad side.
Yin yang.
Yeah, or your a lot of connotations, lot of examples, a lot of theoretical framework to fall on. But in reality, it is you telling yourself that you could be as bad as you want, and you could be as good as you want. Choose your want
It's
wisely.
like there's a beast inside everyone.
Yeah, that is, now if that beast is harming you, that becomes your shadow, and that's your dark side. Everyone has a dark side. And one part of being authentic is embracing your dark side. A lot of people never confront their demons, inner demons.
Interesting.
If you really want to be authentic, it does not have to be all good. It has to be embracing all the bad you have too. And being very kind with that, yeah, I had this, or, this is my internal demon, I fought with it, or whatever. Accept it. It's going to be there, locked away in chambers, or addressed nicely, tamed well. Whatever you want to do with it, address it. Or that is why most people have mental, not illness, but irregularities. I don't know how to say this. Like, you have a mental problem, but you don't have it so much that you want to go to a psychiatrist, but enough for you to land to a psychologist's office. And half the problem is there. You're not accepting your darker side, and the darker side is coming out. And most people during the dark phase do not want to embrace it or seek help or do self work. That's how they land into the illness pit.
It gets
Intensive.
nasty when it's out of control.
Yeah.
Before we talk about embracing authentic self,
Mm-hmm.
like what does that mean in more detail? Let's get into authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you mean by authentic self?
Being you is authentic. Like, simple. You being you and being comfortable with that is being authentic. Very simple. And you cannot be anyone else. Anyone else cannot be you. You, do you, be you. That's authentic.
So how to discover your authentic self? Is it just you close your eyes and you know who you are? Or is it the process of discovery? It's like, how did you discover yourself, the true you? Was it a short-term thing, or was it the long process?
A long process. Definitely a long process. And it is an ongoing process. It does not stop. It's a very, very nice process. And for me, it started by falling into a dark hole and slowly coming out of it, and then embracing my journey. And I was in that sinkhole for a couple of months. Okay, it wasn't like, okay, I did something and I was out of it and then I walked to this side of the world. No, I was in there. I embraced my darkness. I embraced my flaws. I embraced my shadow. I tamed it. Then I had the courage to walk out slowly, where I had a critique telling me that you're not good enough, can't do this, and someone saying, why are you doing this to yourself? You can. And slowly, uh, I had the opportunity to listen to both sides of me, and I knew that I want to be on the good side because that's how I want to be. And slowly towards embracing myself one day at a time, being knocked by different outcomes, different examples of where am I hesitating, where am I comfortable. So every time that I did not like something, I was embracing it beautifully. I was able to give a pat on my back and say, hey, earlier you had a problem doing this. Now you're comfortable with that. Good. And then every time that something new comes to me, I am like, okay, this is a problem or this is something that I need to work on. Why is this happening to me? Why am I feeling like this? Then I take a note of it, then I have an answer to myself. It requires a lot of self talk, a lot of being okay with yourself. You're not all great, and all of us are not Victoria's Secret models, to be perfect. We are a lot of flaws, we are a lot of our experiences, both good and bad. And for you to embrace yourself, you have to give credit to both good and bad experiences of shaping you at this stage. Everything holds value. You can't disregard what bad has happened to you. It has done something good to you. So you bring that forward. And it is definitely a journey and it does not stop. I don't know how it stops or what is the end of it. I think death is. But living each day with the awareness of your beautiful being is something that helps you sail through life magnetically well.
It's not constant. Finding authentic self is the journey of discovery.
It is, yeah.
So there is no one answer.
There's no one answer, but you could start by loving yourself. Have a great regard for self.
So it's more like in practice.
It is practice. And it is appreciating others for themselves, for being themselves. It is being genuinely kind, being curious. Like, I don't know how many people talk to each other without an agenda. Like, you go to an office space, only if there's work they talk to you. If there's no work, they don't talk to you. Like, people have genuinely lost interest in other people's life, and which is fine. But if you are authentic and you feel like asking, you feel like talking, you will go ahead and say, hey, this is what I want to do. Like, we as a society are collectively forgetting that we live with people. We need them to live our lives well. But people have become competitive. There's crab mentality. One goes up, pull the other one down. We have to stop doing those things. It's a collective responsibility to make the world a better place. Why would you make it a bad place for anyone? Even for your future generation to come live in. Make this place a good place. And when I say good, I mean you be authentically you. Just be you, kind. Be kind to yourself, and if you have the ability to do that, you'll be kind to others.
So if I were to discover my authentic self, as a psychologist, do you have the set of questions to ask? Can you give me the questions and I can process it? So it makes me realize the authentic me. Then I'll keep that to myself.
Okay.
But this can also help the viewers who are sitting and who have reached this far watching the video can also experience watching experience to discover
Themselves.
Themselves.
So for you to start your authentic journey, first you should have a very good reason of why you want to go on this journey. Okay, if
Intention.
you should have a right intention to do it. Let's say if your life is going well and you think that everything's fine and suddenly you want to be authentic, you'll find it difficult. Okay. Or if life is not going well, you have to have that need to really be yourself. If things are going well for you, why would you want to be on an authentic path? Okay, and if you really choose to be on authentic path, then your rationale should be because I deserve to know more about myself. I need to be the best I can. I need to reach my full potential. And most of the times, the easiest way of undoing the stress of the modern world, the competition of the modern world, the easiest ways undo uh, to all that stuff is embrace authenticity, because then it takes you away from the race. So, what is your reason? That's important. The first question could be an intense question. It usually starts with, who am I? Who are you? You could ask yourself that question, but you will not get an answer very quickly. You will have to slowly develop who you are. Because when you say, who am I? And you say, I am so and so, I do this and that, and I want to be this and that, you know, it's not a concrete answer, it's a superficial answer. To really answer, who am I, you have to do a lot of self work that it should come with, it validates who you are. And yeah, so that's one question. Other question is, how has my past shaped me? Easier, maybe before you answer, who am I, it's a larger question. It'll be a process. Ask yourself, how has your past shaped you? What were the most important events of your life? So you could gather the past, and what was the most beautiful thing of being a child? Or what hampered you? Who had the most influence on you? What did you believe growing up? If you were telling yourself a story, what is the story you're telling yourself? Why is it important for you to be you? What is in the way of that? What is stopping you from being that person? I'll give you a classic example of someone who wants to be a teacher, okay, and but does not want to be a teacher because grew up seeing teachers that were not very good examples. And if there were some good examples, it's not enough for you to think that I will be the one person making the change. So someone wants to be a teacher but refrains from being a teacher of many reasons. Lack of their financial is not that great, too much work, or where will I be? A lot of tension. And then you choose to become a mechanical engineer. And at your job, you're constantly working, not feeling satisfied. And you're not feeling satisfied. Why? Because you are not doing what you're supposed to do. And you don't even have the ability to tap into you and ask, what do you want to do? And slowly this answer comes to you, and you have the courage to be what you want to be, to do what you want to do. And that is how authenticity, embracing authenticity, being you without any fear, helps you live a good life. You can do what you want. I often find myself asking, what do I really want to do? And then I have my answer very nicely put for me and say, oh, yeah, that's what I want to do. That's nice. It's very, the sense of knowing is blissful. It gets you at a state of being something and yet not being anything.
So you mean you have to be flexible on those details
Very
with the
flexible.
questions on
Yeah.
like what do you want to do?
Yeah.
It's like you may have a concrete answer, but also you have to be flexible for uh, I don't know,
Give
like
yourself, you actually have to give yourself enough time to explore the question objectively. Okay. So we don't, when we ask ourselves reflective questions, like if this is a reflective conversation, you quickly answer here, there, whatever. Slow down, think, and then answer. And say, maybe this is something that I would like to think of. Sometimes I ask people questions in therapy and then they look at me, oh, that's an interesting question. And I know that they won't find an answer to it, or they're hesitating giving an answer. I usually give it as an homework assignment, saying, please go explore, ponder upon this question. When we meet next, that's what I want to know. There's no hurry of finding answers. Which test are you sitting for? Which exam are you going for? That you have to know everything. Take your time. Especially if you are your own exam, why won't you want to do it 100 on 100? And if it takes time for you to study well, study yourself well. And if it takes time for you to score 100 after 100 attempts, give yourself the chance to sit for the 100th attempt.
so you mean you have to place intention at the center of this journey,
Yeah.
then recollect the past,
Yeah.
what influenced you,
Mm.
and
You
then
could recollect past, recollect vulnerabilities, recollect shadow, recollect your core system, recollect your values, recollect your parental aspiration, you know,
Hmm.
recollect. You have to recollect a lot of you. So I think when you reach a certain, like, I'm talking in context of an adult, okay? And when I'm looking at adults embracing their authenticity, you have to really shell out of your childhoodness state, your teenage. I think most people adult at 18 because you get a chance to vote, but mentally they don't adult till 28, 29. Some nice people would adult earlier, but 25 is like you're still figuring out role confusion versus identity. Like there's a stage, you're not figuring out your identity. An adult knows his or her identity. Most people don't know that. And so it's tough for adults to shed they carry their childhoodness or teenager self with themselves. That's why they become stupid adults, irrational adults, lack of logic adults, something. But an adult is a very secure person. Adult is beautiful. Adult is secure. Adult is logical. Adult is rational. Adult knows the consequences. Adults work with attention. Adults are a lot of good people, a lot of goodness in one person, a lot of wisdom. And if all of us as adults start acting like our true adult being, the world will be a better place for all children to learn from. Imagine the kind of role models we are setting for a younger generation to look at and grow.
Right.
Most of the teachers in school, you don't like them because they're not functioning from the adult stage. They act like a teenager with you.
Right.
Have all, if all your adults, teachers in school are like adults, you will have a very different way of being in the school. Hence, you like college more because the teachers are actually adults there. They act like adults, they treat you like adults. Okay, so there's a very beautiful thing in transactional analysis. You work from an adult stage, a parent stage, or a child stage. Now, child has a certain mental capacity, a certain way of being. He or she will operate from that perspective only. But a parent has to work from a safety sector. Parent is going to be attached with the child, but still has to be objective. Sometimes parents mistake of, overly parenting or under parenting, whatever. But if parent and an adult is combined together and that's how they talk to a child, beautiful system. And when two adults talk to each other in their adultness, beautiful adult being, the conversations are very different. That is why you will like meeting people who talk to you nicely, or who have the ability to have hold on reflective conversations with you.
It feels like you are brainstorming to discover yourself, or are you meditating to discover yourself?
No, say that again.
I mean, is it the process of discovering yourself?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, does it look like brainstorming process, or does it look
Both.
like a meditative experience?
Both. See,
Hmm.
it's you have to meditate in that experience of becoming your authentic self. You have to have your brain empty at one point. You're carrying so much knowledge of yourself, experience of yourself, vulnerability, weakness, trauma. So, meditation will help you clear that space out for you to grow in a new realm. So, you have to meditate. Meditating is one exercise that you could easily do to develop authenticity. But I don't recommend meditation for people who are anxious. It's a very difficult task for people who are not mindful and you ask them to shut their eyes. It's tough. So, not for those who are anxious or underconfident, but definitely for those who are grounded, looking for upgradation. Start with 5 minutes and then go on to 15, 20, and an hour.
So, what if people are anxious?
Mm.
How they can win over anxiety?
Now, again, I'll give you three options. You pick, what are you? Are you
Mhm.
anxious because you have nothing else to think of?
Hmm.
Okay. Are you anxious because you are scared of how past treated you?
Hmm.
Are you anxious because you are vulnerable and weak and don't want that to come forward? Are you anxious because you are uncertain about the future, what future holds for you? Are you anxious because at a very early age you had to, really take care of yourself and you had to really survive? And because you're always surviving and not living, that you have forgotten to turn the gas off of your own security, that you don't know how to turn it off and hence you're anxious. For you to figure why you are anxious is the answer of how you will heal from it.
So the answer is different for
For
all these reasons.
these. All
Interesting.
these. That is why when people consume a lot of mental health stuff, they'll go read on ChatGPT, they will read a book about it, and then they will try to get answers. They will only get half answers, nothing that resonates with them. Or, I've had a lot of clients who come and tell me, I've been reading, I've been doing this, but nothing's worked for me. Only because it is not talking to you. It is talking to a general public. And you are only supposed to take what resonates with you. Psychology as a field, people are consuming and absorbing so much of it, even that does not apply to them. A lot of people don't have trauma and yet they think they have trauma, because for a situation to be traumatic, it could be trauma, but the intensity of it has to really depends.
So they mean people are dramatic. They
No,
create their own drama inside
no,
of the trauma.
in psychology, we have to respect the idea when someone says they are traumatic or they have been traumatized. Even if it looks like drama or dramatic to us, we have to really give them that regard that, yeah, it may have hurt you. And when they talk about this in open public and forums, people laugh at them. Arey, ye kya baat hui? But as a therapist role, everything is relevant. But when I speak to a general public, and if I have an influence over 10,000 people, 10,000 people at one time, I'd rather say, if you have small trauma, brush it off. You can quickly move forward and be your best self instead of dealing with something that was really minutely relevant. Some people are holding on to information that was minutely relevant. I want them to let go of that relevance. It did not matter. Come on, let's move forward.
Coming back to it again. So you said intention at the center of self-discovery, and then recollect the past, being aware about your all the traumas, anxiety, your past experience that shaped you, your aspirations. Is there anything in the equation, intention, past, awareness, and what you want to be? Is there any other factor in this journey of discovery?
Unique. Your unique factor.
X factor.
X factor. And every individual is different. So it is what you bring to table.
Tell me more about this. This is interesting.
Yeah, but it's going to be, if you have to talk about it, we have to have a person who's like willing to disclose. That question, see, if you are working to make the larger audience do something, then we can do an exercise.
Yeah.
But if you ask such a question, then what happens is what is unique for you will not be unique for X. That information will be again irrelevant.
So it's not a questionnaire. It's just a reflective one.
It is reflective. It is a lot of reflection. You have to be able to hold reflective conversations with your own self. Like every day before I sleep, I ask myself a question. How was your day today? What did you like the most of the day? What are you grateful about the day? And what is one thing that you would like to improve? Like these are the 4 questions I ask myself all the time, most nights when I go to sleep, followed by a 5-10 minute meditation.
Self-improvement.
Yeah, like there is something called as self-leadership now, be your own leader. And they teach you all of this in that program. They teach you to become your self-leader, be accountable, be responsible. And adults are accountable, adults are responsible. Adults shape, if you are living with yourself as an adult, it's the best thing you can do, because then you're not blaming your parents for your upbringing. You're not blaming wrongdoings. Yeah, you're not. You're taking accountability, saying now I'm responsible for myself. Moving forward, whatever I do, whatever happens to me for the best and the best, because I am responsible for making all those things happen to me.
Right. Yeah, even I have personal experience on this. It's like we have 2 parts in our brain, child and the adult. So child is playful, creative, and I mean psychologically it's like a victim. Adult is like accountability, responsibility, and like the fighter. Like what's next? Okay, I'm going to face this, accept this. So what I have to do, and very conscious. So it is the harmony between the child and the adult.
Mhm.
Child is needed for creativity and things like that,
Yeah.
and adult is for taking responsibility and thinking of a bigger picture, and you know and they shouldn't fight with each other. It
Yeah.
should be like a perfect harmony.
Yeah. So, when you adult well, you have to find that harmony. You will always have a child within you because child is free, is light, is capable of having fun. Okay, and adult is accountable, responsible, capable of having fun in limits, safety wise. So you have to have a perfect amalgamation of these two. Now we will fall back for this answer and understanding on Rogers' theory. Roger has given a concept of unconditional positive regard. Okay. And you have to have a congruence between your ideal self and a real self. And then it has to like have a congruence, like the circle that meets both the circle together. That is fine. You have to have some similarity between your ideal self and you focusing in reality, your real self becoming that self.
What do you mean by ideal self?
Who you want to
Want to
be,
be, okay.
versus what you are.
Where you are.
What or where you are,
Mhm,
or how you are.
mhm.
So you have to work towards congruence between that. And the only way that is possible is if you give yourself unconditional positive regard. As a child, your parents are liable to give you unconditional positive regard, saying, oh, you want to do science or math or arts. And you say, I want to do arts. No, no. We will buy you a car if you do science. Okay. So what will happen is you have the ideal self has been ignored. The real self has been adapted to go away from the ideal self, which is I have taken science. And then what happens is that child has not been given unconditional positive regard, love, positive love, unconditional. No matter what you do, what your mistakes are, no matter who you are, where you are, I give you love. That too, that is positive for who you are. That's taken away from the child when the parents do such conditioning.
So how to give that unconditional positive?
You have to do that. That is your responsibility
No, how to
as an
do
adult.
it? Like being okay.
Like
What does that mean? Like giving unconditional positive.
loving someone for their being without any filters. Let's say, don't love me because I have six-pack abs. Love me because who I am. So a lot of people in relationship would want to change someone else, saying you have to do this. Put some conditions to make them love you. And sometimes those conditions could be healthy, like a partner pushing someone for a dance class, a yoga class. Those are good things, health wise. But if it is, I don't like the way you talk, I don't like the way you behave in a social setting, I don't like how you responded to me in front of those 10 people, that is bad. That is you changing their acceptance. That is you loving them only if they don't do that. But you're not embracing them for who they are. And a very good part of being authentic is letting people be. Because you would want to be yourself, you have to also give space for people to be. So you have to give unconditional positive regard to yourself. Like a lot of people think my ideal self is hot, 56 weight with like perfect stats, and your real self is 85 kilos. There is a difference between your ideal and real self. Hence, mental well being will be an issue. You will feel unsatisfied. You will feel not great about yourself. The minute you know what is your ideal self, start working towards it and bring it together, and you will see your life change. Ask yourself, what is my ideal self like?
Interesting.
Mm.
So now let's talk about embracing it.
Yeah.
Like now we are addressing the elephant in the room.
Mhm.
So what do you mean by embracing authentic self?
Mhm.
It's like it is a practice.
It is a
It's
practice.
not a one day thing.
Mhm.
It's a lifelong activity
Mhm.
until your death.
I'd like to say so. I don't want it to be, again, a pressure thing. Take it lightly, like authenticity is being light. Take it lightly. Start with self love. Start with having an ultimate positive regard for yourself. Start with learning about yourself. Start with accepting yourself for who you truly are. You know, I am sometimes weird and I like that. I'm not going to change my weirdness because of other people who I don't even know would accept me or not. Like, I can't not accept myself because someone might not accept this sense of self. Be very comfortable with your sense of self, sense of being. And when you start doing that, you will slowly replicate that with other people. No one will bother you. You will not be bothered by people. And you will have a very, people would want to come talk to you for your being. You don't have the need to impress people, nor will you be in position where you have to impress people. You will be very comfortable with yourself. And then moving forward, you will do so much self work that you will realize before you point someone else's mistake out, you want to look at who you are, you know. And when you're looking constantly trying to be nice to yourself, initially your critique is going to be very harsh. I can warn you about this. When you start on this journey, your critique, your inner critique is going to be a bitch to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it will not allow improvement. We are training ourselves with the story that, Arey, I'm not good enough. Maybe this is not my life. Your inner critic will tell you, give you a reminder, hey, be in your pants, be wherever you are. You can't be more.
Right.
It will be difficult, but fight that. Fight, walk past through it. Have the courage. Be vulnerable. Yes, I think that. Yes, maybe this is not great life for me. Maybe this is what I settle with. But whatever it is, I'm going to make sure I enjoy this. I live this. I love it. Have the courage to say whatever pieces my life is in, it's beautiful. Most people don't accept their life circumstances because they are not what they want. So your ideal self is this, your real self of life is this, and then they start working towards it, but it is not coming together because there's energy of desperation. Don't be desperate for things. And when they're working towards it, they're not enjoying the reality because, array, we will only be happy when we reach our ideal life. But what about this life? And by the time you reach your ideal life, you're sick, you're not doing well, you're overweight, you don't have people who you really wanted to have fun with. You've lost a lot of context of your life by just chasing one thing. What about now? What about the journey? What about the enjoyment throughout life? So your inner critique will tell you a lot of things. Be kind. Have the courage to say it's okay, Harsh. It's okay, Clinton, to be vulnerable, to tell that maybe that's not my life story, but I have the capacity to change it and I'm going to try. I'm going to try. Like some people give up on life too easy. Like they don't even try. They try once and they're like, this is not happening for me. Try a little harder. This is your life to live. You've only got one. You better make a good use of it. Yeah.
So how do you fight the critic? Like, why do the critic inside the mind exist, do you think? You know, uh, and how do you fight it?
I think one of the most nice battles you can, life is a battle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one of the most beautiful battles you have to fight are not the ones with the countries or with people, is your internal battle.
Interesting.
Okay. The biggest battle of your life and the battle that you can't lose at any point. You can lose a financial battle, you can lose a court case, you can lose a argument with a family member, you can lose whatever you feel like. Everything at stake can be lost. But an internal battle must be fought and won. That is why an internal critic exists. It serves a purpose.
Right.
Okay, if we
It's
did
there
not
for a reason, you mean.
yes, if it
It
was
brings
not,
the stronger adult.
yes,
If you can't fight your own demon, then you are not fit to be a capable adult in society. Is
that
that
be too
so?
harsh to say.
Okay.
But
My inner critic is too strong.
that be too harsh to say. But yeah, it is going to challenge you. Your inner critic is going to challenge you to be better. But it will put a fight for you to really know. See, if you say, yeah, I will do this, and your inner critic is quiet. Let's easiest example. Let's wake up tomorrow at 5 a.m. A lot of people want to wake up early, have a routine, not able to do so. So your inner critic will be like, you will not get up. I'm like, okay, I will not get up because the inner critic said so. Then one day you have put a battle saying, I'm going to fight this, I'm going to wake up no matter what happens. You wake up at 5 and you do what you were supposed to do. And then you sleep back again saying, this is the limit. You see, When you have a possibility of extending your life circumstances or living your life beautiful, you yourself come in the way of your being. And that inner critic shakes you by questioning you that, Arey, you are not going on the right path. I told you you will be this only. See, you have become this person only. Then every time you will climb a floor, let's look at it. You're progressing in life or climbing a mountain. Don't you want to put a fight with something saying, hey, this is what I fought and I've come here? And if you fight a very big battle, like, let me give you a clinical example here. Someone who was not able to get out of the house, feeling secure in the home and suddenly is challenging himself, herself.
Put in the social.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe someone who was not ready to mingle with people. The easier example, mingle with people, has finally gotten the courage to like go for one meeting. And if, let's say, if there are good adults around, they treat him well. They don't like question him, bombard him with questions. Where were you? You don't come. They're not complaining. They're embracing his presence, not questioning his presence, making relevant talk that is reflective, meaningful, genuine. When he comes back home, he's going to feel good. But if there are a bunch of unaware people, then it's going to be a problem for this particular person to make progress, because then you fail. So if someone is going through something, that is why it is important for humans to be kind to each other. And I really want to bring the cultural context into the picture, that wherever you are, your culture plays a good role. And right now we're distant from our culture. Like, I am in Bangalore, I'm from Punjab. Someone in Bangalore, from Bangalore, is in Canada. Someone from Punjab is in Canada. Someone from Bangalore is in Bangalore. Who do we have? We can't rely on a cultural system. We have to rely on individual community system. When you meet someone, meet them with respect, dignity, community, genuineness.
Interesting.
So inner critique exists because of that.
So do you shut off the inner critic saying shut up, or you have to challenge it?
You have to be kind to your inner critic too.
You have to be kind to your inner critic too.
Yeah, because
like
it's
saying, why are you doing this?
No, by saying, I understand you want me to do better. I'm going to do better.
Embracing authentic self,
Mm-hmm.
you said you have to fight the inner critic.
Yeah.
That will be the biggest obstacle in the beginning.
Yeah.
What's next?
Different for every being. Then what's next is, on this journey, you will have a lot of realities. Okay. You will confront a lot of realities.
How do they look like?
For me, they look very different. I had to recall a lot of past self. I had to like really accept the fact that, yes, there was a lot of chaos back in life. And then I thought of dealing with it. And then I was just like, was it even chaos? No, it wasn't. It was supposed to, because it got me more beautiful things. It got me a lot more benefit than it gave me harm. So then I was like, why am I discussing this? And a lot of oneness with self. I broke a lot of patterns that were not serving me well, but I had learned them because they were serving me then. So I broke those patterns. I set some beautiful boundaries, okay, of my existence and my being. I put some hard laws on myself, like, this is my no. I'm not doing this. If someone tells me to do this work for this particular reason, I'm not doing this. So even before, like, I'm looking at work, I know what kind of work I want, what kind of work I don't want. And even with the idea that how I want my clients to be, like, I'm sorted that way. It really got a lot of clarity. It brings a lot of clarity. It helps you be better. And it helps you be better without guilt. That's very important. Most of the times you do things, but you have guilt hanging over you or shame hanging over you.
Why is that?
Just lack of acceptance of self. Guilt and shame and lack of confidence all comes from lack of acceptance of self. And then it could have childhood reasons. You were ashamed. Maybe if you look at a psychodynamic approach, you peed a lot on people and you were given a lot of bad stuff for peeing irregularly because your caretaker had trouble taming you. It could stem from a small thing. You don't know what an individual holds. So that is why it's going to be very different for people. But on a larger perspective, your mental peace will be beautiful. You will be peaceful. You will be content. You will like life as it is. You will be so grateful for living your day. And I'm telling you, no matter how great, worst, balanced your circumstances are, if you start embracing authenticity and being you, your life will suddenly look like a life of gold. Like it changes. I think you start feeling you're really privileged. And it does not have to do with in comparison of their life, his life, someone else's life. No, just your own life. It's a privilege.
So you mean you have to face your realities.
Yeah.
So is reality just right in front of your eyes, or you have to figure it out rationally?
No, it is in front of your eyes.
You're
And
just
then,
avoiding looking at reality.
but reality comes now, the purpose of reality again. If I'm away from my reality, I'm any which way not doing well. If I'm in my reality and I'm not liking it, again, I'm telling myself a wrong story. And if I look at my reality, embrace my reality with my authenticity, my life is different.
So why do you think people avoid reality? Like even if they know, even if the reality is right in front of their eyes.
Mhm.
So what gives that distance?
But why would you not face your reality? Most people live in their reality. And
Well,
only those who don't want to live in their reality are traumatized, are hurt.
yeah, I was speaking about them. Like
Yeah.
what keeps them at a distance from reality?
Because they're still carrying the wound. When you reach a therapeutic system, a lot of time, like I deal with clients who are going to willing to live their best life. That's the ideal client for me. Okay. And it could involve a lot of work like changing your narrative. It could involve a lot of work with authenticity and various other factors. But someone who's almost at the verge of breaking out, seeing the sunrise, that sort of person. But then there are also a different layer of therapeutic clients. These clients who have, so if you go to a doctor because you have a wound or you have a cut here, you want to get it repaired. Psychological systems, you don't see the wound. It's in the heart, it's in some area, it is uh, the way you keep yourself, it is the way how you treat yourself, how you allow other people to treat you. Someone who has a very good aspect of oneself, you will see how they behave in society or how they behave in groups. Very, very nice people because they worked on themselves. And those who are wounded will have a maladaptive behavior or behavior that is not sufficient for self sustenance but is dependent, or behavior that is not justifying their beautiful self, disregarding their self, honoring other people too much. So those kind of behaviors tell you that this person needs to work on himself or herself. And that's when they land in therapy, and then you see the wounds. Then the therapist has to nicely figure out where the wound is, stitch it up, give 100 perspectives, or a group of perspectives, and let the client choose which one suits him or her the best. And that's how you tie a knot and climb up the mountain. It is a very, very beautiful process.
Hmm.
But we have to undo a lot of wounds, we have to heal them, and we have to live in the now.
Tell me about pattern breaking.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
give me an example. Like, how does it look like?
Pattern breaking. So now let's say you attended this workshop and you've learned something about self love. Okay. And suddenly your house environment is not something that allows self love. So you have you've gotten a bucket of lukewarm water and you've added some salt. And they say that if you do this, it makes you feel good. And suddenly you've learned about self love, you're doing something for yourself, and the person living at the house comes, you want to make yourself better, you know? And it's so hurtful. It is so hurtful that when you are trying to be the best of you, the better of you, and you're taking care of yourself, someone around you tells you, why are you doing this? Okay. And that person has to fight two barriers. One is incompetency with self, and then lack of kindness from someone else. And then they have to, that is why it becomes very difficult for people living with families or friends to break a pattern, because other people are used to seeing you in follow that pattern. And that is why I keep saying we as adults should assume responsibility of being better adults, because we want to help other people grow. And the way you behave with other people really, really puts them in a position of comfort that they can do more, be more. And if the same thing happens and say, oh, wow, I like what you're doing for yourself, this is nice, then the pattern breaking becomes easier. People are acceptable. And a lot of time you are not breaking a pattern of something because you are comfortable with it. You have to ask yourself, if you're unable to break a pattern for a very long time, whatever it may be, first question you ask, why are you not able to? Are you comfortable being in that pattern? Because if you were, that's why it's continuing. If you weren't, then you would change it. And our body and thoughts have the wisdom to guide us. Our body is constructed beautifully, our brain works beautifully. When there's complete amalgamation with how the brain and the body works, the kind of wisdom, you don't even have to be in therapy for that. Just the way you listen to your body and your thoughts, and if you can allow it to guide you well, it works for you.
Tell me about setting up the boundaries and saying no, like how important it is.
It's very important. A lot of people have this syndrome called the people pleaser syndrome. Children, when they grow up, they may not be with great adults or want a lot of attention. There could be many reasons. It could be one, because they're not with great adults. Second, they want attention. Second, they like to be the hero of their story, or they like to be nice. They want to set a narrative about themselves and they become people pleasers, or because they want adult love. That's an easiest way to get love, and they become people pleasers and they continue to do that. But in that regard, they're always looking for regard by others. They give so
Not
much
from
regard. Yeah,
themselves.
they give so much regard to other people that they forget to give regard to themselves. And they think, agar मैं किसी की इज्जत करूंगा तभी तो कोई मेरी करेगा. But they don't think that you have to respect yourself to be respected. And that's it. You don't have to respect anyone else. Just respect yourself. The way you treat other people will be with respect. So when you keep saying yes to other people, considering other people's regard, it is very difficult for you to say no. So there is a way you say no. You have to say, I'm sorry. Then you say, what is the reason you can't do it? And then you offer help. Okay, let's say you ask me for something. Okay, say book. That's what you want from me. And say, hey, Harsh, can I get your book? And I'm saying, hey, I'm really sorry. I'm going to be reading the same book, but I will be happy to give you another book. It's a very nice way of saying no. And we were taught this as psychologists in our life skills class, how to say no. Most of the clients are struggling with basic life skills. They don't know how to function through the life skills. So, being assertive is important. Saying no means assertiveness training. A lot of people in occupation, in workforces, can't say no to their boss, managers, subordinates, colleagues. You have to teach them, hey, say sorry, acknowledge why, offer. Simple. And this is how you will say no. But for a person who, again, now if this is someone, is me, who finds it difficult to say no to a boss, this would work. But if it's someone who's worked with people pleasing and have depend a lot on eternal external regard, it will be very difficult for them to pick. So you have to give them awareness of why you're doing this, then teach them this, and then let them go.
And you said embracing authentic self is doing things without guilt.
Yeah.
So why there is a guilt?
Simple. I like eating ice cream and then I'm diet conscious. Okay. And if
How do we
I,
fight this? This is a nice battle.
yeah, so this, what happens is there's a tub of ice cream in front of me. I want to have it, but I am diet conscious. If I'm a good person and I'm looking towards moving forward with a goal that is me 40 kilos, I should stop ideally. But if I really want to do it, I should not stop myself. I should say, I'm going to just take 5 spoons, 1 scoop, okay? And I'm going to eat it, I'm going to enjoy it. But it's a bad adult who eats it, relishes it, and says, I shouldn't have done that. Do everything with such awareness that if you want something, say you want it, accept it, relish it, want it, live it, and then let go. Come back on track. So, most people, that's why there's no shame. But if you're going to shame yourself for the idea that you ate ice cream when you were not supposed to eat ice cream, that's bad on your part. Then you shouldn't have had it in the first place.
Interesting.
Yeah. So whatever you do, don't do it with the idea, how will I be looked at? How do you look at yourself? Eat whatever you like, but eat it holistically with complete awareness. Enjoy what you're doing. The fact that people don't have time for self acceptance or embracing authenticity is also that they don't enjoy what they're doing. A lot of people are just doing things without the awareness of doing things. Like eating has become so monotonous. You're just feeling you're not relishing it. There's TV playing, there's Netflix playing, there's family talking. Eating should be done quietly, mindfully. Walking should be done quietly, mindfully. But we've accustomed ourselves with such things that take us away from ourselves. We have to be closer to ourselves. And when we are closer to ourselves is when we are meditating, when we are talking to ourselves, when we are really listening to ourselves, when we are understanding ourselves, when we have the capacity to listen to others without judgment, objectively. We become close to ourselves when we are kind to other people. We also have to focus on mechanisms that bring us closer to ourselves.
How do you practice self-acceptance and self-love? What does those mean?
See, self-acceptance is I accept myself for who I am. Short, thick, fat. It does not matter. You know, I have a really big nose, and I get this. I get. I have a really big nose, and I get that a lot at home, saying, "Hey, you've such a huge nose." But I cannot look into the mirror and ignore all the beautiful face that I have and focus on, oh, what a bad nose.
Just the nose.
You know, I need to have the capacity to accept myself. Yeah, it's a little big, but it's okay. I love it. It's mine. It helps me breathe. It helps me do a lot of things. It's my olfactory bulb. It has a sense there. It helps me smell things. The purpose it solves is really nice. So you accept yourself. Whoever you are, you should not have any shame of being you.
How do you practice self-love? I mean, I've heard a lot of people saying on social media and everywhere there is
Mhm.
self-love, self-love, self-love. Like, I mean, there's so much talk about
Mhm.
self-love.
Yeah.
What does it look like?
So, on a surface level, people will start with self love of body. Okay. Being mindful of taking bath, mindful of eating. It's a lot of action oriented things. Putting a face mask is self love. And some people will find it very, very difficult to do this because they have to choose a different, like they will say, start self love, wash your face, and all of that. That is one aspect. Another aspect is being kind to your inner critic. Hugging yourself is self love. And self love does not come to you in a jiffy. It's a process again. You can't say, okay, from today onwards, I'm going to love myself and I'll start loving myself. No, it is you accepting. So when you're away from your body, you will only look at the mirror and see your face. Okay. But the minute you start indulging in self love, like over a couple of months of soaking your feet in the lukewarm water during night, you look at your feet one day and say, hey, I like my feet. Hey, I like my elbow. That's how you love yourself from a physical perspective. From a psychological perspective, when you say, hey, my thoughts are nice, I think well, I think genuinely about other people and their success. And I enjoy all of that. I like myself. Then spiritually, you're on a path that makes you feel light. You're on a path that does not make you feel vulnerable at all times. It makes you feel calm, content, composed. You feel grounded. You like yourself. So, at many levels, you could start, and there is no direction saying start physical love, then emotional, then whatever you like, whatever suits you, however it feels good to you, just do it.
So since this is a daily practice, it's not the thing that, you know, you embrace it today,
Mm-hmm.
then you wake up tomorrow and you fall back to the old patterns and, not embracing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, falling short for your inner critic
Mm-hmm.
and people pleasing, again, things
Mhm.
may go back. How do you practice it daily? Like, do you have any set of standard practice to embrace oneself? Like, it's a daily practice.
There, there could be a practice like defined by a psychologist somewhere. I haven't gone through it, but Richard Schwartz has said some three, eight C's. Like I said, be calm, be curious, be compassionate, be courageous, and a couple of more C's. That is something that you should do daily. And because you have the most authority over yourself and nothing else, you have the capacity to draw your own self embracing practices. Like there should be no barrier in telling you what to do or what not to do. Whatever suits you, whatever works for you is what you should do. And it is a good question that, yes, people after following a routine would fall back. Yes. When you fall back, do it only for 2 consecutive days. Let's say if your practice of self love is brushing my teeth every night before I sleep, and you will miss one day. Okay. Don't criticize yourself for the fact you missed. Okay. And then you will miss one day, you'll think, okay, next day also I can miss. Then the third day also. But when the second day happens, don't let the task of self awareness, doing what makes you happy, slip away the third day. So you can break the pattern for 2 days, but the third day you get back on track. A lot of people think that to build a habit, you have to do 21 days in a row. But how many people reach 21 days? You start doing it by the fourth or fifth day or sixth, whatever individual capacity is, you drop and then you forget. Then no habit is built. Instead of looking at a large cycle, look at everyday consistency, break it only twice and not more than that. That is your responsibility. Like just the second day is fine. The third, it can't go on to the third day break. Only 2 days break.
Give me takeaways as a psychologist
Mhm.
for people in general for a beautiful society.
Yeah, very, very nice. Because not all people will choose to be in therapy. Not all people will be in therapy and may not require therapy also, but everyone has a brain that is in sync with its body and that has cultural ancestral wisdom to guide it beautifully. So you must tap into that. That is one. Second is that be very nice to yourself, be very kind to yourself. This way you will be able to avoid a lot of mental mismanagement. I don't want to call illness or anything, but you will manage it will you will manage yourself very well mentally if you're kind to yourself. Be And if you're kind to yourself, you'll be kind to other people also. And sometimes if you are in a position where you could act uh, as a catalyst to give someone something good, make sure you give them genuine positive regard. Don't be nice for the sake of being nice. Be nothing for that purpose. If you don't want to be nice, be nothing. Don't be mean. And if you want to be nice, be genuinely nice. Because when you do something out of genuine contact and context, it shows. And you don't even have to say anything. The impact of it, the vibe of it is lasting for people to feel the good impact. Then you should always take care of yourself, prioritize yourself. And it's okay to say no. It is completely okay to say no. Be rational with yourself, hold yourself accountable, do good things, enjoy yourself. Important, very important, enjoy yourself. Learn, put an effort in understanding what you like. Like it took me a lot of time after coming back from the sinkhole, that I like nature, I like trees, I like my Sundays and Saturdays to be productive. And when I say productive, I mean I want to go to the park, sit there for a while, read a book there. I enjoy those things and I'm going to continue doing that. And find out what works for you and do that consistently for yourself and for your well being. Yeah, these are some things.
Do you recall anything else?
There could be, I mean, like now context is like this.
Mm-hmm.
Lot of things. Smile. Smile. If someone stares at you, smile. Oh, yeah, I have something to share here. I met a friend. I had a friend of mine who studied with me. She was from Namibia, and that was my first time speaking to someone from the African subcontinent, and she was from Namibia, a land where the desert meets the sea. And so she told me a very impactful story. And this was her first week in India, and we met in our college library. And she told me, I was taking her around. I was like just helping her understand India, culture, and everything. And then she said, hey, no one smiles here. And I said, yeah, we don't smile at everyone. She was like, in Namibia, we have to smile at everyone who crosses us. And I was like, okay, that's weird. Like, and then she said, the reason is that if you lose your way, you're lost and you have to seek help, or, you need something. Your first contact or smile has helped ease the tension, and they will be willing to help you. You don't know who's going to help you when. So you smile at everyone, because it's easier for you to look back and say, hey, can you help? Something like that. And I was like, wow, that's really nice. So that's their culture. See how mental health is being preserved in a cultural setting. If people are like this genuinely in a good, larger context, see what effects it has on mental health. Maybe our world construction is, like look at our parents, fathers, our parents, their siblings. There's a lot of fight on property, relative fights, something is happening. We have to be nice. Our generations should be nicer to each other, should do good things to each other, should establish good culture of oneness, humanity.
How is that different from people pleasing?
It's not, it's you doing you. It has nothing to do with anything else. You just keep doing you, and in a good way, it'll have a ripple effect.
So I want to end this podcast with the last question.
Yeah.
So, what is your lesson as a psychologist on this topic of embracing oneself?
Yeah. Life is light, life is fun, and life is full of joy if you have the capacity to find all of that. And nothing is outside you, everything is within you. And if you have the ability to smile, smiles have the ability to come to you. That's it. And be very fluid, flow.
Don't stick to personalities.
Don't stick to personalities, flow beautifully. And sometimes you're like, where is life taking me? Sometimes I've had this epiphany when I'm like stretching or doing something, and I realize I don't want where life, like I get to choose between what kind of life I want. And then I'm making a conscious choice that, yeah, that's the life I'm going towards. Like sometimes it just comes to me and says, if you continue doing this, this is the kind of person you will become, or this is the kind of person, what do you want to be? Then I'm like telling myself nothing. I don't want to even confine, like at a higher level of, at not higher, but in somewhere in authenticity, embracing, life will ask you questions. What do you want to be? And you could choose an answer or say nothing. Maybe there are better options. Just keep doing your work, do it with good conviction and good heart, and it'll reap benefits.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the podcast.
Thank you very much.